What's going on, BiggerPockets? It's Matt Faircloth. Thank you so much for watching. I am so excited to talk to you guys today because I've got a good friend of mine who's going to talk to us about an amazing topic that I cannot wait to get into with you guys. A lot of people want to buy multifamily properties, and a lot of people are out there buying multifamily properties. So whether you guys are wanting to get into multifamily or are in multifamily already, a great conversation is how do you find off-the-market multifamily deals? Now, I've heard people say that it's likely you cannot find off-the-market multifamily deals because most likely a broker is going to have them. People that own multifamily are likely savvy enough that they're going to just list it with a broker. Why would they go and just sell it off the market to somebody or something like that? But I've got a good friend of mine and a great BiggerPockets contributor and a great real estate investor, Sterling White, who's going to talk to us about it today because he has done you know what? I might be ahead of myself, Sterling. So first of all, say hi, Sterling, and we'll get the number from you in a second. Sterling,
hello, everyone, and thank you so much for joining. I'm going to be dropping plenty of golden nuggets and gems just sparkling throughout, so stay tuned.
Here we go. So, Sterling, tell them briefly about you. And I happen to know you've done a lot of – the reason why you and I are even having this conversation is not just because you're a great dude, but also because you've done a lot of off-the-market multifamily investing. So if you would, tell us about your off-the-market multifamily experience so that you can prime the pump here and let everybody know why they should be watching this.
Yeah, so I would say just in the past year and a half, 2 years have gone from 0 to 276 multifamily units, and that was all going direct to owner. No brokers involved, completely skipping the bidding frenzy, all that good stuff, and currently under contract on a 150 unit that was also direct to owner as well. So that's my sauce that I'm just going to be delivering to y'all. So definitely you want to be in on this.
And I want to say before we go any further that it's not that you can't get a deal on the market, but as Sterling's referring to, he's saying about doing bidding wars and highest and best round, multiple rounds of bidding on properties and stuff. It's a broker's job to get their customers at the best price they can get. I mean, it's not because they're greedy, it's not because they're evil or whatever. They're just doing their job. Their job is to get the best price they can on that apartment building for their client. And remember, a broker's client is the seller. It is not you, the buyer. The broker's client is the seller. And so their job is to get their client the best number they can. And so they do this best and final round. Sometimes it's almost like you're at an auction or something like that, seeing who's willing to pay the most money and make the least, pay the most and make the least on this property and stuff like that. So I don't think all that said, we've bought great deals on the market. What I think that Sterling can talk to us about today is, yes, how to get phenomenal deals price-wise off the market, but also how to uncover properties there that people might not even thought of selling when you reach out to them, and then you can have that, maybe you should sell win-win conversation with them. So
exactly.
To take us down the road, man, we get the why. We all understand the why you would want to do off-the-market deals, right? So let's say that you pick a new market. I know you're where are you active right now?
So in Indianapolis, Indiana, Louisville, Kentucky, and also Dayton, Ohio. Very active in those, but also in other submarkets as well.
So those are your cores. Let's hypothetically run through a scenario where let's just say you decide you're going to plant the Sterling White flag in Topeka, Kansas or something like that. Some market you're not in right now. Take us through because you probably have a different process in Indianapolis because you're already there, right? You've got your inroads, you already know a lot of it, right? So let's say you're decided that you want to pick a new market and you want to find off-the-market multis. Take us through the steps.
Yeah, first I look at the economics of what is going on in that specific market, meaning there has to be population growth, job growth, low unemployment rate. So looking at those, and then once it checks those boxes, it has to be business friendly. Then that's when the decision is made to go in that market and then break it down even narrow. So my approach has always been laser-like focus. So I'll give you a prime example on the criteria is apartments between 75 to 200 units that are C-class assets, so built between 1960 to 1975, that have rents between 600 to 900. So very targeted. And once you go into that market, you're able to narrow it down to the neighborhoods because we don't want the high crime. And then from there is I'll actually go out and book a couple Airbnbs to stay in those neighborhoods to really get familiarized with these are the types of tenants. It could be street by street. And yeah, so that's it on a high level and really narrowing it down.
Yeah, you're the one investor that I've met that intentionally stays in the neighborhood of their apartment. Have you ever stayed in one of your buildings?
No, not stayed in one of the buildings, but near one. The one that's in Louisville, Kentucky, the 80 unit, actually stayed in the Airbnb that was right around the corner from that.
I was inspired. I know you've mentioned that before when you and I have talked, and I've been inspired by that. That I've thought about, either staying in one of my units or staying very close to one of my buildings, so I can get a feel for the neighborhood. Because it's very tempting just to stay, in a nice, reasonable hotel in a nice area, but you really want to get a slice and put your boots on the ground and get a feel for the area that it's in, and all 24 hours of the day as well. I get why you do it. So you've got your city picked, you've got your neighborhood picked. You're very micro on what you're looking for. Now you want to go start hunting for off the market deals. What's the next step beyond that?
Yeah, so there's two approaches that you can take. One is not as scalable, and the other is more scalable, to where you would be able to just do the whole driving for dollars approach,
Sure.
Which is going in that neighborhood, driving around. I love that approach because at the time when I first started and made the transition to multifamily and did the driving for dollars to buy my first 46 unit, I had a 2001 Honda Accord. So as everyone knows, those things are great on gas. So that's one approach that you can use to pull to pull apartments.
They found a bunch of deals on one tank of gas, right?
Yeah, exactly. And then the second is just using a source such as ListSource to pull leads in apartments, or you can get someone from CoStar to send you a list as well. But you have to have a relationship if you go that route.
So ListSource, that's where you buy the list, and ListSource has you can say, I want a list of apartment buildings, and ListSource. I'm totally generalizing it, but in working with them, you can buy a list of apartment buildings from ListSource.
Yes, you can filter it on the criteria that I had mentioned of apartments 75 to 200 units, and you can even do it by age. And then also one thing that I like to do is that have not sold within the previous 2 years.
Yeah, that's great criteria. Okay, so you're going on ListSource, then you're going to drive for dollars. So tell me, and you've closed drive for dollars arrangements yet? Have you done that?
That first 46 unit was driving for dollars.
Okay. So you drove past a building like, that looks like, are you looking for a property? It looks like they're having a problem maintaining it. Maybe like some peeling paint on the shutters and some, high grass and just, struggle with maintenance issues.
Yeah, parking lot if anyone's looked at an alligator's back, that's exactly what this parking lot looked like. And so that was an indication decks were just not hazardous, but definitely needed work as well. And then one thing from that, with that 46 unit, everything is public record. Yeah. So this specific property, I went to the city, county, which you can do that in any type of setting that you're in, and then plug that into the database. Was able to see it was owned by an LLC. Some apartment owners actually have it in their personal name, which is good. That tells you that they're definitely mom and pop. But but from when you have the LLC, you just skip trace it, doing a simple Google search on that, and Google's phenomenal. And then you can find who the owner is, contact, call them right up.
People tell me they get stuck with it's owned by an LLC and I can't find the owners of the LLC. As you said, man, just Google the LLC.
Yeah.
And you're likely going to come up with a mailing address for the LLC, so maybe you got to send them a letter. And there's other sites out there where you can find, depending on the state that they're registered in, who the managing member of the LLC is. I mean, an LLC should not be a showstopper for you to get behind that and find out who it is. And as you said before, if you know a broker with a CoStar link, CoStar has who the controlling member of the LLC in there. So make nicey nice with a commercial broker that has CoStar. Yeah, I know a few of them, and if I buy them lunch or do them, if I find a way to make it worth their while or whatever, they'll help me out with CoStar. So yeah, that's a great resource too.
And those sites that you can find for the LLC, one is opencorporates.com Another is manta.com or bbb.org, which is betterbusinessbureau.org. So when you're going through the Google search, you look for those specific directories. You click through the directory. Let's say it's Bentwood Apartments LLC, and you see that there is a link for bbb.org. You click on that. I'm getting very tactical. You click on it. You can scroll down and see that
People want you to. People want that though.
Yeah.
People want the micro. Yeah. Okay. So bbb.com.
.org.
What?
I believe it's .org.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
bbb.org. So betterbusinessbureau.org. And what was the other one?
Opencorporates.com.
Opencorporate.com. And what was the third one? Manta?
Manta.com.
Manta. Okay. So 3 resources right there, guys. You'll never struggle again finding out who's behind an LLC. Use those 3 words. So that right there is worth its weight in gold. So let's fast forward. Whether it's this 46 unit you did drive-by dollars on, or the list source that you got, either way, you now have a lead that's something that's worth reaching out to. Then what? Then what do you write? No, you got a list from driving for dollars, and you got to go put some more gas in the Civic. And then you got and then you got a list on list source, but you've been able to narrow it down to say maybe 4 or 5 buildings that are of interest to you or more. So then what?
Now this is the very fun part, which some people are going to get a little squeamish a little bit, but it's to pick up the phone and call a complete stranger. But you're just reaching out just to see whether or not they would consider on selling the property, just being very straight to the point. And if this is a distressed asset that they're running into the ground, that maybe it's a headache on their side, and you think of it, you just have to change, I would say, your mindset and how you're going about it is you're being of value, taking that problem off that person's hands.
Yeah, so it is changing a mindset. You're not begging them, you're doing them a favor, you're helping them. And number 2, I think that, and I do a lot of cold calling too, and raising capital and in calling about deals and whatever it is. And I thought Will Smith had a phenomenal quote one day, and that's everything you want in life is just beyond your comfort zone.
Wow.
I'm paraphrasing him a little bit, but it's a phenomenal quote in that, yeah, you know what? It's okay to admit. I mean, I don't think V. Sterling White gets nervous when he makes these phone calls, but
I still do. There's occasions I even still had to. Yeah.
Yeah, we all do, right? I mean, like, you don't know what's going to happen. They're going to hang up, whatever they're going to say, but do it anyway. It's okay that you're a little nervous, and I don't let me being nervous stop me from taking action. I let being nervous, cause me to take action anyway, or at least be an inspiration that, hey man, this must be something big. If I'm feeling nervous about it, this must be a big thing. So let me do it anyway and get excited about it,
And there's those occasions where I'm following up on an owner from a cold call, and the first time I've got kicked in the face, I'm like, I don't know if I should call this person. But there's still, once you get over that, not only when you're making these calls to these, it also helps in the personal, I would say, with building even more confidence in terms of you as an individual. That's just personal experience to where you can just communicate with anybody.
Yeah. I would, one last thing on calls, I tend to try and make the easy calls first. That I'm not going to call the cantankerous person that I think is likely going to hang up on me or give me a big attitude and that on the phone. Like I'll call somebody. If I've got a list of owners and one of them's in Brooklyn, I'm going to call that one last, because I tend to, I work my way up to the difficult phone call. I mean, like, let the easier phone calls be the ones that you make if you've got a list of cold calls to make, and it'll just let you just tend to get warm to it. To the point where when I've made a lot of calls, once I'm halfway through, I get excited to make the next one. I almost want to keep going. Once I'm done the list, I'm like, man, I want to call somebody else. It's fun,
And one thing that I always do, and now I can even go through our infrastructure of how our acquisitions is set up, but we go on the side of always role playing before. It's just like a football player. They practice before they actually get on the field. So I will role play, meaning that I'll just go into a simple role play where it'll be ring, 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 ring. Hello, this is Sterling here. Wanted to personally reach out to you, Joe. I own Bentwood Apartments right across the street. They say, I'm not, I wanted to personally reach out to you. They say, not interested. Joe, I completely understand. I'm sure you get these types of calls all the time. Give me 30 seconds. If you don't like what you hear, I'll hang up on myself. So doing those types of role playing that allow
You've
for.
done a lot.
Yeah, exactly.
I've seen you live, and you said it exactly the way I remember you rehearsing that talk. And that means that you've gotten it flat. And it doesn't mean, it just means you like that you take what you say seriously, and you say that there's a few warm, interesting things you say in that. Like, listen, just give me 30 seconds. I'll hang up on myself. It's kind of comical, you know?
Yeah.
Keep it light and everything like that. I love that shtick you give in the very beginning, and you've got a response to, I'm not interested, I'm gonna hang up. Like, wait, just give me 30 seconds and I'll hang up on me. Yeah, all right. And I love the way you put that. So, all right, let's keep going. Joe's either gonna say no, thank you. He's gonna say let me talk to my wife and I'll get back to you, or he's gonna say that's interesting, tell me more. So tell me what you do in each one of those three scenarios once you've got this off the market owner lined up here.
Yeah, so in the case that he says, that's interesting, tell me more, it's more of, John, perfect. In order for me to make an educated offer, all I need is just the rent roll, just financials. In order to turn something around to you within the next 24 hours, it's not a good fit, be happy to point you in the right direction. So that would be the path on that side to just formulate and get a LOI, which is a letter of intent in their face. And then the second is if they have to speak with their partners, then that's something where may have to, on the upfront side, work to actually get both of them on the phone to see what the other person's potential objections would be. Because if the other one's not a seller whatsoever, and then the other one is maybe they're managing it and they're done with the asset, which has happened before, then you've got to figure out how to solve both problems. So it's best to get them both on the phone. And what was the first one?
So he says that, so you nailed it. It's like, tell me more. Let me talk to my partner. Great answers. And then the third one is not, you give them the 30 seconds and they're like, okay, great. Hang up on yourself because I'm done and I'm not interested. They still say they're not interested. What do you do from there?
Yeah. So in that case is I put them always follow up. So in the case that, and you can always read someone, how they say they are not interested. There's some people that have, and may have just bought the property in that circumstance, and that's when they say not interested, I honestly just bought it. Then I'll put that person on following up in about a month and a half to 2 months. But if someone says, I'm just not interested, and there's a little hesitation, that's when I'll follow up with that person sooner rather than later.
Okay, but do you ever just take them off the list? If they said they just bought it or whatever, it's like, okay, let me give this guy some time and get back to him in a couple of years, and
I always keep people on the list, and this was from a lesson that I learned of a husband and wife apartment that was in Cincinnati, Ohio. Called I believe it was the wife, and they mentioned they would never sell whatsoever, anytime soon. 3 months, they were unfortunately facing a divorce. Another buyer swooped in and actually purchased was under contract, ended up purchasing the property. So that was a learning lesson on that. Yeah. Always follow up, even when they say absolutely no.
Yeah, I've heard stories where they've told investors like, never, I will never sell this property. They'll take it away from me when I'm in my grave. And then months later, they sell it because you actually, as the investor, you inception the idea in their head of selling, and they couldn't get that idea out, but unfortunately, sometimes they sell it to somebody else. It's important to stay in touch, to just continue to drip campaign them and everything like that. I would suppose that once you've gotten there, you send them the LOI, it probably starts to transition to be like a traditional real estate closing with a broker, because if they sign your LOI, you go to contract, you do due diligence. Is there anything different in that side of the process versus a standard broker sale, or is it very similar once you get to contracts?
I would say with us, it's more, I haven't gone through a broker, but in terms of like working with an agent, it's a lot more intensive on you because you're the one that's having to coordinate directly with the owner to achieve water bills, utilities, delinquencies, and that's the only flip side, I would say. And
you don't have that broker as an intermediate coordinator. Yeah, I get that. So then you've got group decision, you've got that. That's pretty understandable. Still take them to a yes or a no. And then on the drip campaign, staying in touch with people that are a no on the process. Do you put them on like a mailing list? Is that where you break out the Rubik's Cube tactic and that kind of stuff? Okay,
Yes, indeed.
tell us
Yeah.
about Rubik's Cube and the tactics you might use to get people's attention
Yes.
if they told you no.
So it's the Rubik's Cube, and also I will send that to people who I've submitted an LOI to, and we just haven't been close in terms on we haven't been close on the actual terms. So I'll use that as a follow-up, or they may submitted a LOI, or we've had some traction in terms of communications, and they fell into a twilight zone. So that's where I use these follow-ups. So there's a Rubik's Cube that you would use that has a small note that says, hey, let's figure this out. You can send a little shoe, not a size 12 shoe, but just a small shoe that says, hey, looking to get my foot in the door. Little things like that, and this goes back to, I would say, even though when you're buying, when you're buying, you're still selling. What is it? You're still selling, correct? Or, gosh, what was I?
No, you're always, well, I've heard like you're always selling.
Yes,
and
yes.
Even once you're buying, you're still selling too. I mean, I'm paraphrasing what you're trying to say, but I get it. I mean, you're always selling something, and you've always got an agenda that you're advancing, you know?
It's correct. It's all sales essentially is what I'm getting at. So the person's not interested, or they just fall into the twilight zone, as I alluded to. It all comes down to the follow-up. And those are those techniques. You can either use calls, and why it helps to use all these different creative Rubik's Cubes, yellow letters, is it allows you to just be as a way to stay top of mind for that individual. Because if you keep using one channel, then they may just block you or say, I would never sell the property to you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. Well, and then there's got to be some point where it's like, I mean, do you ever just like take them off your mailing list completely to say, you know what, I'm not going to work with them. They're just not going to be worth dealing with. Number one, they might be like cantankerous seller you don't want to bother with. It might be more of a time waste, or you just like finally believe them that they're never going to sell it to you. You ever get to that point?
Yeah, there's a 80-20. I still, and by 80-20, it's a rule, partialist, Paretos Law or principle,
Yeah.
where I like to focus 80% of the efforts of the 20%. So and then it goes focus 20% on the 80% that are not interested. So that's kind of how that works. So if someone's not on the extreme would not consider selling, then I'll focus 20% efforts on that.
Yeah. Right. We could chase somebody for years, or you could go and do 7 or 8 deals in those couple of years. You know?
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, listen, man, this has been great. Any other tips we haven't gotten into for finding off the market multifamily deals that we can give everybody watching here?
I would say the big eye opener for me is, so I was formerly had all those roles from doing the skip tracing, which is super low value in terms of doing the researching. I was doing the cold calling, and then coordinating, doing the underwriting and ensuring it's a viable deal. Now I've been able to, at very affordable cost, find a researcher, which you can get on Fiverr or Upwork.com, very cheap. Now have a cold caller that's also in place, which is the right underneath me. And then they qualify all the owners and set the appointment with me. So that saves very extensive time.
That's great. Great tips, man. All right. Well, so how do people, this has been great information. I sure appreciate you sharing a little bit of your not so secret sauce with everybody, and showing us how you do what you do, because that's very generous of you. I think a lot of people out there would be like, oh, that's my information, and you can't have it. But I think that it's very prosperous of you to share how you've been able to do it. So thank you. How do people hear more about you if they want to contact you for any reason?
Yeah, so you'll just reach out to me, Sterling at Sterling at Holdfolio.com. That is HOLDFOLIO.com. Or you can reach out to me on BiggerPockets.com and slide into the DM, direct messenger for everyone.
There you go. And we'll also put some information on Sterling's business and his company Holdfolio down in the show notes down below. and that. So you guys can reach out to him as well in the description of this YouTube video. So Sterling, you have been phenomenal. Thank you so much. I'm grateful to know you, and I'm grateful to be able to bring this, what you do out to the folks that are watching. So thank you. Looking forward to seeing you again. Thank you guys for watching, by the way. Make sure you leave a comment down below, either on the YouTube video or in the notes on the BiggerPockets video, so Sterling and I can get back to you with some questions and some chatter. I sure appreciate you guys watching. Thank you again, Sterling. Have a great and profitable week, guys.
Thank you, Matt. Be awesome. Go out there and kick butt.